The PM CARES fund was supposed to provide rupees 100 crore for vaccine development. Where did that money go? More than 18 months after the Prime Minister's office published an official release that PM CARES was allocating rupees 100 crore for vaccine development work, there is no clarity on whom the PM CARES fund gave this money to or whether it was even transferred or not. On 13th May 2020, the PMO had published an official release on the website of the Press Information Bureau. It said, to support the COVID-19 vaccine designers and developers, an amount of rupees 100 crore will be given from PM CARES fund as a helping hand to catalyze vaccine development, which will be utilized under the supervision of Principal Scientific Advisor. But right to information requests to the government to identify whom the rupees 100 crore was transferred to have hit a dead end. Institutions like the Indian Council of Medical Research (ICMR), the COVID-19 Vaccine Administration Cell (CVAC), and others have said that they didn't receive the funds. So who did? In fact, even the Principal Scientific Advisor's office has told the Quint that it wasn't involved in supervising this project, contrary to what the PMO's announcement had stated. And then there's the question of how the government keeps saying that the government has nothing to do with PM CARES since it isn't a public authority. But then the announcement for the allocation of money from the fund was made by the Prime Minister's office and posted on the website of the Press Information Bureau, Government of India. There's clearly a lot to unpack, so let's get started. Curious about where the promised rupees 100 crore had gone, transparency campaigner and Indian Navy veteran Commodore Lokesh Batra had filed an RTI application with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. To put it simply, Batra had asked, how much money did the Government of India get from PM CARES for vaccine development? And which organizations or entities did that money go to? Responding to the RTI, the government's COVID-19 Vaccine Administration Cell (CVAC) said it hadn't received any such funds. The RTI was also internally transferred to the PMO, ICMR and the Department of Biotechnology. The ICMR categorically stated that it did not receive the said funds from PM CARES. The PMO disposed of the RTI request, reiterating that according to them, the PM CARES fund is not a public authority. And the Department of Biotechnology, instead of answering the query, transferred the RTI to the Niti Aayog, indicating that they too may not have got the funds. The Niti Aayog transferred the RTI right back to the Department of Health and Family Welfare. The RTI was also sent to the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, which said it has no role with respect to funding and budget allocation for vaccine development. On 18th August 2021, more than a month after he had filed the original RTI request, Batra filed an RTI appeal because the details he had asked for had not been provided yet. He didn't get any response. Unfazed, he followed up by sending as many as 7 reminders to the First Appellate Authority or the FAA. He then wrote to the nodal officer of the RTI cell, among others, requesting their intervention on the RTI appeal, which just wasn't being responded to. 2 days later, the FAA finally responded and listed out the institutions and agencies to which the RTI had been forwarded. The FAA added that the Health Promotion and Education or HPE division of the Health Ministry too had said that it didn't get the funds, which still left the question, so where did the funds go? After 4 months of an RTI request being tossed around to various relevant government departments and the RTI appeal being waited for, there was no answer to that 100 crore rupees question yet. The PMO had announced the Principal Scientific Advisor to the government would supervise the utilization of the 100 crore rupees from PM CARES. So we reached out to Principal Scientific Advisor K. Vijayaraghavan to check with him if at least he knew whether the money had indeed been transferred. Here is what his office had to say, and I quote, "In discussions following the announcement, it was felt that the speediest way to ensure delivery of resources for vaccine development will be through the Department of Biotechnology and its PSU, BIRAC. Consequently, vaccine development has been stimulated by this direct method," unquote. It's important to remember here that the government had already internally transferred the RTI request to the Department of Biotechnology, which instead of replying, had transferred it further to Niti Aayog. So was the Department of Biotechnology the beneficiary of the supposed rupees 100 crore contribution by PM CARES? The Quint has reached out to the department for a response, but they are yet to provide one. We've also reached out to the PMO, BIRAC, the National Institute of Virology, the DRDO, Finance Ministry, Bharat Biotech, SII and Biological E to see if any of these entities can provide any details whatsoever into where this money went and whether it was utilized. Responding to our queries, the director of the ICMR's National Institute of Virology said, "Unfortunately, I am not aware of these details and will be unable to help in this regard." Look, we're not saying that the PM CARES Fund definitely didn't transfer the 100 crore rupees as announced by the PMO. All we're asking is, why don't we know where this money went? This entire process just shows us how opaque fund allocation and transfer is when it comes to the PM CARES Fund. It's an entity which the Modi government has said in court is not a public authority, not under the ambit of the RTI Act, and not a part of business or function of the central government in any manner. Yet, it is the same PM CARES Fund whose decisions of fund allocation are announced by the Prime Minister's office and published on the website of the Press Information Bureau, Government of India. But when the same PMO is asked to provide details about that fund allocation, PM CARES is said to be a non-public authority. The question that remains then once again is, where did the rupees 100 crore that the PMO said PM CARES was providing for vaccine development go? And is there anyone in the government we can hold accountable to answer that?